Today's episode is brought to you by VJ Shoe. That's VJShoeUSA.com if you're going to the web. You heard me talk about them a couple of months ago. I believe many of you are now wearing these shoes. I have been wearing these shoes and really dig them. They are definitely in my rotation of go-to shoes. I like almost anything that's a solid functional shoe with aggressive lugs, and these are super aggressive lugs. Love them, love them. You also may have seen they've signed a few athletes, including the Atkinses, Ryan and Lindsay, both on the VJ USA team, and you know they would not say yes to just anything, as they are the best couple in OCR. You can still get free shipping if you order this month, and the ORM discount is, get this, $30. That's exclusive. Yes, there's an ambassador code or two floating around there. There is no discount as loud and as big as the ORM discount, as we've partnered with them this season. ORM MAR. That's like March. So, ORM MAR. I'm sorry. I don't know why this is so funny to me. ORM MAR, all caps, all together, $30 discount. Get yourself some VJ shoes. You know what else is coming? The iRock 3s. You know what else is coming? Some awesome more shoes. Go ahead, hop on there. I think they're going to have some pre-order soon. Hope I'm not saying that out of turn. That's VJShoesUSA.com.
Yeah! Get up!
Welcome to the Obstacle Racing Media Podcast with Matt B. Davis.
With over 300 episodes since 2012, Matt has produced the most consistent podcast in OCR.
Each episode, Matt speaks with race directors, athletes, and industry insiders to bring you the most in-depth interviews and conversations in the world of obstacle racing,
adventure runs, and ultra marathons. If you have small children nearby, now is the time to put on some headphones
or send them off to watch Phineas and Ferb.
You know what? You don't have to put on headphones. You're a fucking adult. God damn it.
Now, here is your host.
Now here is your goddamn host.
Now here's your host, fucking Matt B. Davis.
Good day, everyone. Welcome back to the Obstacle Racing Media Podcast. Giving you an early one this week. It's Monday. You're going to have this shortly, and there will be a new episode Tuesday, as I've been bringing them to you. Last week, I think, was all over the place. There was so much content. I'm going to start with a review that kind of surprised me. It is from Fuzzy B, and it's a 2-star review. ORM is getting back to be informative and timely, but is highly biased and poorly executed. I used to enjoy listening to this podcast, but have grown tired of the poor production quality and increasingly biased slant to every story he covers. This is especially annoying as Matt harps more and more on Spartan, parentheses, and others to be flawless, parentheses, as he sees the term, but refuses to hold himself to a more professional standard. I welcome all feedback, good and bad. Like, great. When you make stuff and you just put it out into the void on Facebook or a video or a podcast, we need feedback. We people who make stuff, I need feedback. And I've taken it in. Like 5 years of you guys saying maybe you could edit a little more and clean up the sound. I actually did, which again, probably sounds silly, but it's made a difference. A couple of things though that I have questions with and would love to talk to this person, Fuzzy B, if you want to send me a message and chat or meet me at a race. And you don't have to. It's your right to just say, I think this podcast is 2 stars. But it's just weird to me getting back to be informative and timely. I've always put out episodes every week. I've always stayed on top of the news. So that part seems confusing. Back to informative and timely. But is highly biased. So if you've listened to this show lately, there's been a bunch, like last week, there were like 4 Spartan episodes because it was the first Spartan race of the year and they did something massively controversial. And I don't think I called them flawless. I'm pretty sure I talked about what I liked and didn't like about the ruling. And the more professional standard thing, I think the production quality is pretty solid. So, I don't know. Let me know, Fuzzy B, which part of the production value are you not enjoying? Because I think I've improved all those things and I've heard as much from the audience. I guess I'd be more okay with it if it was just like, I don't like this guy's style at all. Like, he's not funny, he bores me. Like, that sort of would make more sense. And the production quality has gone down, which I don't think it has, and that I'm biased. I think it's the one thing that people count on me for is like, that people say to me over and over and over again, Matt, thank you for keeping it real. Thanks for calling people out on bullshit. Thanks for not being a suck-up. Sadly, our sport is still small enough that a lot of people in my position, or bloggers or video makers, whatever, it's like, yay, races. And they think that they're not going to be able to curry favor with the races anymore if they say anything that they don't like. And there's a lot of that. And just, mom and pop bloggers that want free races, whatever. So I think one of the things I count on myself for, one of the things I whatever the word is keeping it real. And I tell these races when they're on point, and I tell these races, this was not smart. Why did you do that? Or a lot of people have said this isn't smart. Why did you do that? So I count on you, my listening audience, my loyal fans. Let me know. Does Fuzzy B have an argument to make here? Can I improve the quality? Can I be less biased? And this is me like not saying like I'm being real. Like I want some feedback. And if you don't feel like doing it publicly, you just want to send me a DM or an anonymous something. I don't know. Figure out a way to be anonymous, but just say like, yeah, this episode sucked because you didn't edit out this or that or whatever. So I'm really focused on one person's review. And many of you be saying, Davis, why do you care? It's one person. Because they say if there's one person, there's like 10 behind it or 20 behind it. I also read a lot of these people's reviews. They have a lot of negative things to say. They did leave some positives, but there's 19 reviews of Fuzzy B, and he or she left, I think, 15 negative ones. So if Fuzzy B thinks it's their job to be like, hey, I'm going to fucking drop the hammer on these people. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't care. Maybe I shouldn't care. Do I owe Ryan Kent any money? I just said drop the hammer. All right, so there you go. Speaking of people who like the show, the Patreon has hit 50 members, 50. If you're a Patreon member, you know that I'm starting to give you some secret stuff, which I kind of couldn't figure out how to do because I always want these episodes to be free. I don't want to create an entire episode and then just give it to a few people. Like I want to give you guys everything, you guys being the free listener. However, I found some ways to give away some content. And if you want to get in on the Patreon train, go over to the page, check it out. You could donate very few dollars or $1 a month and get access to some cool extra stuff like a big project I'm working on. On today's program, Kyle McLaughlin, the new president of Tough Mudder. He became president a couple of months ago. We had met, as you'll learn, at Obstacle Innovation. You're going to learn a lot about him and what Tough Mudder has in store this year. Let's go to that interview. Away we go. You and I have definitely met, right?
Yep. We met at Obstacle Innovation this year. I think I was driving the SUV when we plucked your son out of Leap of Faith.
Brave boy.
Yeah, it takes after his dad and jumping headfirst into Tough Mudder's latest creations.
Yeah, dude, I was so proud, but I don't think I was aware of your role maybe then, or were you not the role you have now?
I joined Tough Mudder back in May as the head of North American events, and responsible for all the US and Canada events, for the innovation team and Nolan's group, and a number of the other things that we did, and was recently took over as president of Tough Mudder a couple weeks ago. So
is there a crown involved?
Yeah, we reserve the metal headbands for our 100Xers. It's just a desk with more paperwork on it.
Right. So what were you doing prior to TM?
So prior to Tough Mudder, I had spent 6 years at the New York City Marathon, an organization called New York Roadrunners that does endurance racing, mostly in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, but largest operator of running events in the country. And before that, had spent my entire career in live event production, concerts, festivals, parades, lots of runs, walks, rides, triathlons, all over the country and around the world. But when the opportunity to go to Tough Mudder popped up, it's a place that I'd always wanted to have a chance to work at. Couldn't turn it down.
So being in the New York area, were you, had you been friends with the guys over at Team HQ? Had you done a few events?
Yeah, I'd known the TM team for a while, and had actually interviewed for a job at TM way back in the early days, like 2011. and wasn't the things didn't work out at the time, but had kept in touch and had run the Englishtown, the Raceway Park event in 2012, back in the early days, and had been to a couple other events over the course of the year, and got a call about this time last year when they were looking for somebody to come in and head up North American events, and right time, right place, and obviously a great brand and a great place to work. So excited to join on and be a part of the team here, and got to spend a lot of time out in the mud with our customers and Mudder Nation last year. Got out to about a dozen events, and excited for what we've got in store for 2019.
Well, I definitely want to get to all of that, and I am generally curious about a lot of other things. And I have found that if I sort of just roll with my instincts on those, my audience comes along for the ride. So I've been talking. So how familiar you are with me or this website, other than rescuing my kid out of cold water?
I've been a reader for some time, and I've obviously watched your coverage and know what you do. And you guys are well followed by many of our longtime dedicated customers. So wanted to make sure that when we were doing our State of Mudder Nation in 2019, that you were the first to give that scoop.
Well, I appreciate that. So one of my frustrations has been trying to connect the rest of the running world with us. Let's just call us OCR. All right.
Yep.
And I've had a call or two with people here and there, and as I've found, this is what I say to people all the time, like you get so much of a better understanding of somebody when you just talk to them, right? Whether if you can sit down in front of them, great. If it's a phone call, great. But otherwise, and so if I talk to people like, yeah, we should totally figure out a way to incorporate OCR more, because these reports get put out and they're always really kind of garbage. They're like, like that, there was this Wall Street Journal thing a few years ago that was like, OCR is down 30%, which was insane. And I think maybe road running was down 30%, but certainly our industry was not. So we get kind of lumped in. So I'm curious, when you were over there at New York Roadrunners, kind of how you saw the mud running obstacle racing industry, or was there any kind of outreach? Or
well, if you look back at kind of what's happened in the endurance or mass participation industry as a whole, things grew really, really slowly and incrementally, in the 70s and the 80s, when jogging and fitness started to become, a bit more trendy and popular. And, even into the 90s, growth was really slow and incremental. And post, early 2000s, the running boom took off, and you saw, established races growing exponentially overnight, and you saw a ton of new race operators flooding into the market. Everything from your backyard, mom and pop weekend warrior 5K operators, all the way up to some of the more established companies, your rock and roll marathons, competitor group, others like that. And the market got saturated with standard average running events really quickly. And I think where a number in the OCR space and others who are doing, some more innovation on not just your standard running experience, but actually an entertainment experience where you could come out and have a fitness challenge. You could get some miles in, but you could also do something that was fun to do with your friends, that was social, shareable, likable type of experiences. It shook the kind of old school traditional running world pretty hard, because they had a business model that was reliant on people registering to come out and slap a bib on and grind out some miles and sip water at off the table every couple kilometers and cross the finish line, get a medal. They weren't really doing much past that. So the OCR world has turned the regular running world on its head. But I think it's important that we take some of the lessons that traditional endurance running has seen and apply that to the OCR world as well. That Wall Street Journal report you talk about is really interesting, because the mass participation as a whole saw this huge boom, and then a couple of years ago, things started to contract a little bit. You saw a lot of consolidation. Companies were getting bought up by other larger companies. And that's somewhat kind of natural in any industry, right? You get a lot of people who rush into something that's becoming really popular. And then there's a natural consolidation with a few of the major players, left. And I think you've certainly seen that in the OCR space as well, right? A number of smaller copycat operators followed us and Spartan, kind of into the market. And many of them have kind of gone to the wayside, and the strong and the few remain. But it's important that and I think a big thing that you're seeing from Tough Mudder this year is that we stick true to what we're good at, and we stick true to the brand that we built. Tough Mudder is about teamwork. It's about personal achievement. It's about having unconventional experiences that you can't really get anywhere else. And we're basing all the offerings that we've got this year to really center around that.
Well, yes, that I would say that was true for a really long time. And then, as we've seen, there was this mass event explosion. And, we're not this one thing, we're these 10 things. And it always seems surprising to me to do so much in a short time, only to sort of do this massive reduction or whatever the word is, contraction, back to, hey, we're going to go back to doing this thing we do really well, which is this awesome 10 to 12 mile, really hard day, fun with your friends, yet, difficult but not impossible day. And I think it did make sense to take on like the, hey, let's do an early morning heat. Definitely people that want to run really fast. And again, I feel weird asking this stuff because I know these decisions are made before you got there, but I just feel like you're someone that may be able to answer it just from your event experience, to go from offering one thing to 7 and then back to 1 rather than, well, let's try this for a year and see how it goes. And then maybe we'll try TMX and then maybe we'll try, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think, look, one of the things that Tough Mudder has had as part of its DNA since the early days and will always continue to be here is a spirit of experimenting and innovating and trying things. And as I think Nolan and Eli said it perfectly at the World's Toughest Brunch this year, sometimes those things don't work out so well. And we're not, sitting on a high enough horse, to be able to not admit when we made mistakes, and we messed some things up. But we're also going to be willing to, try some things out. If they work, we'll stick in it and we'll invest in it. If they don't work, then we're not going to sacrifice the Tough Mudder that everybody knows and loves because we're trying to do too many things at one time. I think what you've seen from Tough Mudder in the past maybe is that we were trying to be a lot of things to a lot of different people. And we weren't doing all of them as well as we could have. So this year, and we heard that feedback from our customers, both the new customers and the mudders who've been running with us since the early days. Early 2018, we started to see some of that feedback of, you guys have stretched yourself too thin. Maybe you're doing too much. This course experience isn't what it used to be. And we took that to heart. And a lot of the innovation and the work that we did on kind of reframing what Tough Mudder is going into this year was based entirely on feedback that we got from customers. To be able to go back and say, look, you want what we're excellent at, and we can do it better than anybody else can, in this industry. And I stick by that. We're going to give you, 10 miles of really tough obstacles, teamwork challenges that you're not going to get anywhere else, and a really good time when you cross that finish line to celebrate with your friends. But some of the things that we have tried have been really successful and continue to be kind of a core part of what we're doing. Tough Mudder 5K was relatively new last year. We tried a pilot of it out in 2017, but saw great growth. And it's a great point of entry for people that are maybe intimidated about doing the full thing, don't want to try electroshock therapy, or are too scared to get an Arctic enema, but are totally willing to come out and try the 5K. And we're seeing some really good results of people who did the 5K last year come back and take on the Tough Mudder Classic this year, which is exactly what we'd hoped for, that we're able to create a good funnel and point of entry to say, join the Tough Mudder tribe, come and try this with us, and we'll get you to see that the total experience is something unlike you're going to get anywhere else.
I really liked the idea of the 5 mile version. And to me, that could have come like years ago. Like, 10 miles is too hard. Let's do 5. And then, I'm on record as saying, I don't think any company needs a 3 mile and a 5 mile, right? Definitely not on the same day. So I'm curious because this branding concept is the part that I think you might struggle with, right? And the market's always right? The market always tells us in the long term. And this is like, people ask me all the time for my predictions, and I'm like, look, we're going to find out. Like, customers vote with their dollar. And Spartan has some of this going on too, but we'll focus on you guys. If we focused on, for many, many years, this is what Tough Mudder means, right? Difficult, long, hard, teamwork, etc., right? But then we slap the word 5K in there. To me, it's some brand confusion. Whereas if you just called it, I know that calling it the half, people thought it was a half marathon, but some other thing that's just 5 mile version or whatever you called it, right? Tough Mudder. I don't know. I'm on the spot talking about this, but I feel like that might be your biggest hurdle. How do you deal with that? Because obviously I know the difference, but how does a person know? Like, is it a 5K? Am I on the street? You know what I mean? That confusion that you've got to reach the people who haven't done it yet. I did a really bad job asking that question, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, it's something we talk about, and we did talk about quite a bit as we were making some of the decisions. I mean, part of it was that when we started to offer Tough Mudder 5K, the half and the full last year all at the same time, we saw a lot of people shift from the half to the 5K. People that had been previous half runners, came back to run the 5K. And I think some of that, to your earlier point, is true, that the half name was potentially confusing to new customers, and that's really who it's targeted at. It's we're not expecting that you're going to see a lot of people come and run the half over and over again, although we did have a handful of those. But it's really a point for new people who want to try out Tough Mudder to come in and do something that is maybe an easier point of entry than doing the full thing. But a lot of confusion about, is it a half marathon? Is it half of a what? How long am I running? How many obstacles are there? 5K is a distance that everybody knows and understands. Most people have done a 5K, whether it's their local turkey trot or they've been out in in a charity event. They understand what 5K means in terms of distance. And we're able to then take on the mantle of trying to explain to them what the obstacles are, what the day looks like. But the 5K participant for us is oftentimes the spouse or the kids or the friends of a longtime Legionnaire who's trying to get their friends to come out and do it, but they're scared to do 8 or 10 miles, or they're intimidated about the full classic experience. So we're seeing a lot of people bring people out, do the 5K and the classic simultaneously, as part of mixed groups. It's also a great place for teams, charities, groups from different companies to come who want to do things and want an offering that appeals to all their members, all their employees. But the 5K is an experience that people understand from a distance perspective, and then it's up to us to show them the value of everything else that they're getting as part of that.
So you had touched on, or Eli or Nolan had touched on, some of the things that we can look forward to. And so can we talk specifically? Have you nailed down like what's going to be in LA in April for this first event in terms of improved festival area?
Sure.
Which by the way, you had a pretty good one. Like, I would say as races go, some are kind of, you don't even really notice it, and some do a good job. And you guys, I think, have always done a good job with, I know you had Merrill for a while, but they're not around anymore, but you've always had something. You've always had, some fun thing to do.
Yeah, and we will always continue to do that. I think that's part of what makes Tough Mudder the Tough Mudder experience. And I like to, coming from the entertainment and the sports world and having been in this for a long time, Tough Mudder's not competing with Spartan or Warrior Dash or Rugged. We're competing with the movies and music festivals and food festivals and the other things that you're choosing to do on a weekend, and saying, I'm going to go out and have a good time with my friends. Where am I going to spend my dollars, and where am I going to have the best time, and where am I going to be able to get some great Instagram shots to share on social media, and where are we going to have something that we can't do anywhere else? So that's what we've got to design our experience around. And Nolan and the team have done a really great job in kind of putting that together. So we've got some exciting new partners and some exciting return partners, some of which we're ready to announce, and some of which you'll see announcements coming out about over the next couple of weeks. But most excitingly, some sponsors who used to be part of Tough Mudder, who took a couple years off and have now decided to come back because they had such a good experience with us, including NextCare, who used to be the sponsor of Kiss and Mud. They'll be out with Ace Bandage as well, doing pre-race prep as part of the festival area. And that's something that's new this year. After bag drop and before people head over to the start shoot, we will have a dedicated pre-race prep zone that will be anchored by Celsius and include things like NextCare and Ace, face marking, and some other pretty exciting things to do before you actually head over to the loading zones and out on the course. And then in the post-festival area, we've got live entertainment at every event this year, which is something that we had in the past and hadn't had in recent years.
So,
but there'll be
so bands over a DJ or DJ?
It'll be a DJ and MC based stage, and some familiar Tough Mudder faces that people know and love. I don't want to commit to DJ Coach in every market, but Coach will be DJing in a number of markets for us and doing some fun games and contests and other things from the Mudder Village main stage. That will be a new feature for us this year. We've also got a number of additional games and activations and obstacles that'll be in the Mudder Village Festival area. So Human Hamster Wheel is going to be back. Pop and Lock will be back, but both of them are getting redesigned this year to be a head-to-head format. So you'll actually be able to compete against your friend in the Pop and Lock experience versus just doing it by yourself. And a number of big kind of games in the beer garden area, a big souped-up beer garden experience to what we've had in the past, and focusing on major improvements to the food truck selection. So it's one of the pieces of feedback that we heard a lot from customers last year is that they wanted to see more variety, they wanted pizza, they wanted tacos, they wanted some healthier options. So the team's been out sourcing some really great food truck partners to come in every market.
I am shouting from the rooftops to every race I ever meet if they go cheap and give us like the venue only food and then say, well, the venue made us. I'm like, well, don't make that deal with the venue. Food trucks are ubiquitous. They're happy to work with you. You're giving them thousands of dollars. Get food trucks. So good. And make sure, we'll talk about this later in the year, but definitely get to the world's toughest Mudder and definitely get him to stay open all night. You let me down last year. We will talk about that later. Yeah. One of my favorite things ever, I only saw it once, and that was the one and done Urban Mudder in New York, where you dive in the ice for the golden washers. Bring that back, dude. That was great, and can't be that expensive to run, right?
I can't give all of Nolan's secrets away today, but keep on the lookout for other pop-up things throughout the year that may appear at single events or a couple of events, and may even have a tie-in to World's Toughest Mudder.
Okay. Is he there? Did you just peer back to look at him?
No, he's not here. I'm absolutely by myself.
Are you in a conference room?
I
am. Okay. Does that conference room have a name?
This one is called Melbourne, after our first Australia event location.
Okay. Are they named after cities, all of the rooms?
Some are named after the first locations of Tough Mudder cities. Others are named after obstacles. And then we have a few that are named after longtime Tough Mudder employees. If you've worked here for more than 5 years, you get to have something in the office named after you.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So we have a Combo conference room. We've got a Jesse Bull Boulevard.
Wow.
So.
That's awesome. So even though Jesse left, that's his name. That's awesome.
Of course, yeah.
If I continue to work with you guys, can I get a bathroom named after me?
Yeah, we could give you the Matt B. Davis urinal cake. Story.
Oh, come on! I didn't mean you didn't mean disgusting. I meant the actual bathroom. Come on, man.
Sure.
So, what about in terms of? I know you guys have gone back and forth on this like start line warm up zone thing. Will we be seeing Shaun? Will we be seeing E-Rock? Will we be seeing Clinton? What is all that? I know people want to know about that stuff.
You'll be seeing a lot of Sean Corbell and Clinton this year.
Awesome.
I don't have the exact calendar in front of me, but I know that Shaun and Clinton are in for quite a few things. There'll be 3 MCs at every event now, because you'll have a start MC, which is Shaun in a lot of cities. You'll have a finish line MC, which is Clinton in most places, and then you'll have the new festival DJ MC, which is going to be a mix of Coach, Will Gill, and a few other favorites who will be making appearances in the festival area.
Hey, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I've run out of coffee, which is really bad. My wife left and took the rest of the pot, which is a super bummer. And it made me lose my train of thought. Are you a multiple cup of coffee in the morning kind of a guy?
Yeah, I'm a minimum 3 cup of coffee type of person. So it's hard to work in this industry and not be a coffee addict. But I've met a few people who do it caffeine free.
Yeah, but I kind of don't trust those people.
Always makes you a little suspicious, right?
When they're like, I don't really. How many events do you typically attend, or will you plan on attending this year?
I got out to about a dozen last year. I will be out at a number of other events this year. Love to spend some time, participating in the events, running with our mutters, and also looking forward to hosting, some meet and greets with some of our ambassadors and other folks, throughout a couple different markets this year. But I will definitely be out in LA, and then over at our first London RTM of the year, the Midlands event in May, and a handful of others throughout the course of the year.
Will you be seeing Will Dean when you are in England?
I see Will on a somewhat regular basis. Saw him a couple weeks ago, and talk to him on almost a daily basis.
Really?
Yep.
Well, that's certainly on the business side of things. I think there was. Well, I'm confused, sort of. Well, I'll put it this way.
Let's help you clear up the confusion. What's your question?
I'm not confused, but I think people might be confused, and I know some things. So anyway, I think let's clarify on the record. The company had officially made a public announcement. We are splitting into these two entities. We're going to focus on boot camps are over here and TMs are over here. I'm sorry, the event side is over here. And as Will said to me back in December, he is in charge of neither of them. He's on the board, but he's not the day-to-day president of either. Yep. To my understanding is that's not the current state of affairs. You are currently in charge of event. You're a president. Yep. And is now boot camps just still under the umbrella? What's happening there?
Yeah, for now. So the deal that spawned that news article that came out right around World's Toughest Mudder was an investment deal that we've been exploring for some time, and it got pretty close to the finish line to the point where it made it out into the press. And at the end of the day, the terms of the deal weren't perfect for us, and we didn't want to take something that wasn't going to be the right deal for the long term. So we chose to keep the events business and the boot camp business together for the short term. We're still exploring investment options and funding options for the boot camp business, but they're doing incredibly well. We've got a store that just opened up in Houston in December from a longtime Legionnaire, and they've had great success. If your readers, listeners have not been out to try out a boot camp workout yet, it is a phenomenal experience. And we've got open units in just outside of Boston, in Burlington, Massachusetts, one in Las Vegas, one in Houston, and several more opening in the Colorado, Denver area, and Philly, and Portland, and a number of places across the country this year. So
how many? Do you know how many will open in 2019?
We're aiming to open another 8 to 10 this year. Construction tends to be the challenge in some of those places. You can't predict 100% where those timelines are going to land, but hopefully another 8 to 10 open this year. But we've got a number of others that are in development or in the pipeline and are just in the various phases of looking for a spot or under construction.
If I say I'm interested, right? If a person says, "Hey, I'm interested. I want to get involved. I want to be a franchisee." Do you then work with them on finding potential land or facility? Or is that like, hey, we've sold it to you, we'll guide you on the business, but you've got to figure out the real estate part? How does that work?
No, it's actually a really great process, and you get a lot of support and handholding from us and our team here. So, when you first indicate interest, we'll jump on the phone and have a conversation to, make sure that you've got a full understanding of what it takes to, operate a Tough Mudder boot camp. We often then bring those people up to our New York, Brooklyn office for what we call discovery days, where they get to come and actually do a workout. They get to learn more about the franchising. They get to meet the full team. We have a great, kind of group dinner. And then from there, once you commit to becoming a Tough Mudder Bootcamp franchisee, you get into the full support process where you've got operations support, real estate support, marketing support, people who help you through the construction process. we supply all the equipment and the technology that you need to operate it. We'll train your staff. We'll help you source, coaches and trainers, and then we provide all of the workout content. E-Rock does all of the workouts and the product that actually goes into the Tough Mudder boot camps on a regular basis. So it's a really good kind of turnkey solution to be a part of something. And there are a number of territories that are still available in the U.S. So if your listeners are interested, they should definitely check it out.
What about Canada?
Canada as well. We're not aggressively pushing into Canada yet, but we've definitely got plans for international expansion, coming in the next year to 2 years.
What about Mexico?
That would be included in that as well. Focusing on getting the U.S. up and running.
I was just going to keep naming countries.
You want to run Mexico Tough Mudder boot camp?
Listen, I'm looking to expand, right? And I thought, listen, you got to scratch your own itch, and I got to get in shape. So I was thinking of moving my family to Mexico and opening a Tough Mudder boot camp.
There you go. I mean, we moved Obstacle Innovation to Atlanta just for you. So,
dude, no one is happier of WTM being in Atlanta than me. It's been the greatest. It was an amazing weekend. I actually went back and listened to some of the old the interviews from even the post oh my God, what's the thing we do after the day? The brunch. And it really is, I tell people all the time, if you don't want to run World's Toughest Mudder, you need to come and either volunteer or pit for somebody, because it's a 36 to 48 hour experience that will change you. And this year was no different. It's
totally true. I mean, so prior to coming to Tough Mudder, I'd worked the New York City Marathon for 12 years, and it is a similar type of life-changing experience. People who have overcome cancer or weight loss or any number of other things to push themselves through this incredible challenge and come across the finish line so triumphantly. And I thought that I had seen the best of humanity, over my 12 years of doing that. And then I had my first World's Toughest Mudder experience this past year and was just blown away by the camaraderie and the teamwork, and watching 3 of our mudders stay on top of Everest for 23.5 hours to pull up their fellow mudders through the ice and the freezing cold and the rain. Like, that is what Tough Mudder is about. And frankly, it's that spirit that's inspired a lot of the changes and the adjustments that we've made to what we're doing this year, because that's really what we do that nobody else can do, is give people those kind of really life-changing teamwork experiences.
I was joking there about Mexico, but I did want to ask you about international growth. I think once upon a time, we knew there was Tough Mudder here. We knew it was in the UK. There was a couple in Australia, a couple in Germany. And then while Spartan has sort of been planting flags like in every country, I think that Joe DeSena can get to or like visit, you guys have kind of like maintained, but like there's a couple popping up here and there. I've gotten emails about UAE or Dubai. Do you want to talk some about that, your international growth?
Yeah, we sure can. I mean, I think Joe just picks countries that he wants to go, like shoot videos and carry sandbags. So,
right, that's his thing, man.
His thing. He's got quite the LinkedIn following for his sandbag chats. But,
listen, no. I have quick real talk. Okay, you guys know I call a spade, and I've called Joe out publicly, like to his face, that there's like a Joe team of like Twitters, of like tweets and LinkedIn things, and I'm like, that's not how Joe talks. I know how you talk, Joe. If you just did how you really talked, it would be even better, right? But he just kind of doesn't have time to do the social thing. So there's this team that does it, and it's very, business leader shit. I'm using air quotes. And I love Joe. I'm a big fan of Joe. But anytime I see those things, I'm like, he didn't say that. Unless it's him in a video, then I know it's really him. All right, go ahead.
Well, and it's funny you mention that, because I've got a chance to meet a lot of our customers. And I think the one thing that, that many of them will tell you is that I'm a pretty straightforward and transparent type of guy. And I'm glad that we had a chance to chat through some of this stuff today, because I think it's important too that, that Tough Mudder customers and others who are thinking about obstacle course races know that, we listen, we care, we hear feedback, and we do make changes and adjustments to things that that are important. So I encourage any of your listeners or any of our long-term customers to reach out to me personally. I love to get customer feedback and have conversations. Actually, one of our certainly our longest time customer, Mr. Jim Campbell's coming into the Tough Mudder office this afternoon to share some thoughts and ideas. So we always welcome customer feedback. But
are you Kyle at Tough Mudder?
I am Kyle.McLaughlin at toughmudder.com.
Okay, McLaughlin, like what's his name?
Yeah.
Who am I thinking of?
Twin Peaks, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Kyle McLaughlin. Yeah.
That is his name.
That is his name.
Oh, I thought I knew the last name right away, and I was like, oh, just like that guy. I thought it was, but no, it's actually him. How difficult has that been for you?
Yeah, not so difficult. My popularity boomed during the short stint that he had on Sex and the City, but outside of that, the confusion has not been too rough.
Well, I think maybe because you're younger, like people my age, like Twin Peaks was huge. Yeah. Twin Peaks was like The Sopranos, like everyone was talking about it back in the day, but that's since waned. True. But he's still relevant. He pops up from time to time. No, he's on Portlandia. Anyway, let's talk about international.
International. Yeah. So a little bit of background for the Obstacle Race Media listeners here. We operate directly all of the Tough Mudder events in the US, Canada, the UK, and Germany. So we have a Brooklyn office that handles all the North America stuff, and we have a London office that handles all the UK and Germany events. We have a number of partners who do Tough Mudder events all over the world. So we've been in Australia and New Zealand for a while, in Ireland for a while. South Africa is one of our longer time events as well. But new this year, we've got events in Italy, in both Rome and Milan. We've got a couple of Poland events. We've just expanded with a new partner in the Middle East that's doing a number of events in the UAE and Oman, including their first of the year, which is in Ras Al Khaimah next weekend, actually. And we're continuing to see some international expansion potentially into Brazil and India this year, and a number of other places. So it's a great opportunity if people are looking for a destination experience to go out and run Tough Mudder for one of our international events, because you get a completely different experience with the same consistency that and love from a Tough Mudder course.
And is there a website where they're all in one place, or you got to kind of Google around and find them?
No, you can get to all of them through toughmudder.com. When you go to toughmudder.com from within the US, it defaults you to the US events, but you can go and search. When you click Find Your Event, you can search and find all of the international ones as well.
Really?
Yep.
So if I go to Race Series, where do I go?
Nope. You just go and if you go to the homepage and click on Find Your Event.
Okay.
And then if you click on Show Countries, it'll give you all of the.
Oh, wow.
Countries. Some of them haven't launched yet. So like the registration for the Italy and the Poland ones haven't launched yet. But all the ones that are open for registration are up there.
Can you talk to me about the Discovery Tough Mudder?
Discovery. Oh, that in the South African event.
Yes.
Yeah. So they had a sponsorship with Discovery. And it was one of the best Tough Mudder festival experiences we've seen all year. They did a really great festival and some post-race partner activations and things.
But tell people what Discovery is.
The actual sponsor?
Yes. People over here know the Discovery Channel, but they don't know what it is.
Yeah, the Discovery South Africa is I believe it's actually a local bank in South Africa. It's like a financial services group. That sponsored the event down there, but I don't have a ton of background on that specifically.
It's okay. So I'm looking at these, and when you say partner, so they're not your offices, so they're licensees, I'm guessing?
Yep. So similar to how the boot camps work, they license the opportunity to operate the events from us, and then they get a lot of support throughout the year from our team, who helps them understand how to build the obstacles, how to operate the events. We help them with t-shirts and headbands. We help them with sponsorship. And then we have a team that goes out and helps them actually, with expertise on the ground to make sure that they're building things correctly and that they're operating a Tough Mudder event the right way.
How tight are the parameters in terms of like, here's the obstacles we have, because what if there's a local flair thing that they want to make happen?
Yeah, we do work with them on some local flair obstacles, and there's been some things that have popped up from international events that have inspired, obstacles that have become a part of the other things as well. The Philippines builds a really interesting version of skid marked and Berlin walls that you may see some adaptations of on certain courses this year. And we've gotten some inspiration from others who've been doing it a while as well. And especially our Australia, New Zealand, and Ireland partners have been at this for 3, 4, 5 years. So they've got some good learnings out there.
All right. So last question, and then I will let you go. We mentioned World's Toughest Mudder briefly, and I think the feedback that I heard from everybody when you guys said we're not doing prize money this year is, we totally get it. You want to focus on the event that you do. However, World's Toughest is this end of the year, like, flagship event, and it's never been about the money, but it would be nice to keep some prize money in there. And I have to say, I agree with that. And I'm curious if you're looking at ways to make that happen through sponsors or something else. And again, it doesn't need to be the 100-mile, $50,000 giveaway, but just some podium money, for men, women, and teams.
Yeah, we wanted to be consistent when we went out with that announcement and taking the money that we had spent on prize money historically and kind of investing it into an experience that impacts everybody. And we knew going off of that there were going to be some people who, were in this professionally and weren't necessarily, wanted to put themselves through that experience if there wasn't podium at the end of it. And we hear the feedback. So what we have seen, though, is that, we've got some of the people who did podium last year who understand that it's not about the money. And then, Trevor Psychos, I believe, has mentioned on his social media that he'll be back, as has, Aaron Rost and others who, were podium favorites last year and, have committed to or indicated that they'll be coming back this year, regardless of prize money or not. So it's not to say that, a sponsor may not come in and, and do something on their own, and we would certainly welcome and encourage that, but there's nothing like that currently on the horizon right now.
All righty. You have any questions for me?
Oh, no questions, but I think, we've covered a lot of ground here, Matt, but there's some other, exciting pieces. One piece that will mean quite a bit to our existing longtime Tough Mudders. We've got 2 great new sponsors this year. One who joined halfway through the year last year, called Soap and Glory. They were, shower partner. And then a men's grooming partner called Everyman Jack. Those 2 have teamed up with us to completely renovate the rinse station and shower experience at all of the US and Canada Tough Mudder events this year. So we will have a brand new, really enhanced rinse station experience, raised platform, no more standing in the mud to take a shower, good changing tents, really good experience to ensure that you're able to get clean and stick around and, enjoy some beer and games for a while afterward.
What is Gentleman Jack?
Everyman Jack. They are a men's personal care partners. So they do shampoo and body wash and beard oil and great brand and a great fit for Tough Mudder.
Are you currently using beard oil from them?
I am actually using beard oil from them.
I see they've got some wipes, which is big time. Can you get me sent a swag bag? I can sample their wares of your current partners.
We might be able to hook that up. Yeah.
All right, cool. Anything else?
No, a lot of great, exciting announcements coming from us on partners and other features, over the next couple of weeks. And if people haven't yet signed up for the LA event, it's going to be the place to be and a big debut of all of the new features that we've got coming out this year. So thanks, Matt, for the time. And we appreciate all that you do for the industry.
That was Kyle. You know him. You've learned. Go meet him at a race. Go send him an email. Get to know him. That was an old SNL skit. Anyhow, I hope you're well. I've got some bonus content coming, which I'm not going to tell you about. Not bonus, just another episode. I guess that's bonus. Anyhow, check out VJ Shoes, the sponsor of this show. I've got terrain race this weekend. If I forget to say, I've got terrain and the interview you've all been waiting for. A sit down with the CEO. What the heck have they been up to? We're going to find out. Love you, miss you, mean it. I have got to run.